You are listening to the People Centric podcast, where we talk through the toughest challenges that people face at work and give practical advice to fixing those challenges. Thanks for joining our movement to create workplaces that are happier, healthier, aligned, and empowered by putting people at the center of all that we do.
Hello again, People Centric leaders. Welcome to another exciting episode of the People Centric podcast. This is episode for you diehards out there. This is episode number 189. 189. And I think we've got a great topic here. And I'm going to kind of tease the topic just a little bit, and then I'm going to introduce who I have. And I think some of you are going to be excited. There's some familiar to me, yet unfamiliar maybe to some of you for a little bit, because we haven't had these voices and folks on for just a little bit, except for one of them, Bethany. I just gave it away. One of them was Bethany. You were just on one, but the other one is going to be a surprise. Yeah, the other one is going to be a surprise. Mystery guest. If you know me, if you've had a chance to interact with me, if you've been to a conference and heard me speak, something about me that maybe drives my wife a little bananas, but it's just a part of who I am. Is I'm an open book, and I don't really have many secrets about me. I love people and relationships and being able to tell stories. And boy, do I have a success story that I wanted to share with you that leads us to our topic today. I have what the doctors refer to as sleep apnea. Now, I did for a while. I assume I still do. Anyway, I was having a real hard time getting rested. And a lot of you listening right now, maybe you don't talk about it, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you wake up and you're just tired. Like, you wake up at 7 and you're ready for a nap at 9. You know what I mean? And then an after lunch nap and those types of things. And so finally I went and did the whole sleep study thing, thinking, not really high hopes, but maybe they can help me figure this out, because I was just tired. And it's been a while that was happening. And I got one of these CPAP machines, ultimately CPAP machines, because I was having so many episodes of unrest throughout an hour at a given time, that it's like you were laying in bed, but you were not resting. You were there in bed, but you were not sleeping and just waking up tired. So I got this CPAP machine, and it's wonderful. Like, it helps me breathe fresh air and or at least recycled air. Anyway, it's blowing air there to me to make me breathe. And I got to tell you, I went from 88 episodes in like an hour to 5. They just said 5. Now, 5 or below is the good zone, where many of you who get great sleep, maybe you know what that is. But I've had it now for a week or so, and it's just so refreshing. Like, I feel recharged. I feel like I gained a little bit of life back. And I get, instead of getting up now to go lay down on the sofa, like, I get up now and I take the dog for a walk, or, go play with the kids, or make breakfast, or, whatever that might be. But I was just had this renewed sense of self. Now, if you're listening to the People Centric podcast and you're going, what does this have to do with leadership development and all of this, workplace culture and things like that? One, it's probably helped me be a little bit sharper at my job. But two, just this renewed sense of recharge. And sometimes we need to find whatever that recharge might be for us at work as well. So maybe you're in the doldrums there and you're going through the motions, or maybe you're getting burned out. We hear that term a lot: stressed out, frustrated. It's not giving you life like it used. We're going to talk about the importance of being able to recharge on the fly. Recharge on the fly is what we're going to be talking about today. So I already ruined it just a little bit. This is Bethany Taff. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Matt Griswold. Let me introduce you to Bethany Taff here as well. Bethany, I know that you had some thoughts about this. We're not going to dive into it just yet, but welcome to the podcast. Do you have any initial thoughts on where you think this conversation might go?
Thank you for welcoming me. I am glad to be here on my second podcast in a while. So it's good to be with all of you people who listen to the podcast, and this team right here, including the mystery guest who is about to introduce themselves. And I think that this is good. We talked about how this topic is just great timing for summer, as we're starting, as we're thinking about how to recharge a little bit. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that.
It's also good for recharging for those new mothers out there, right? I mean, you're getting lots of rest.
I'm getting not very much rest. I'm pretty sleepy. And I don't think I have sleep apnea. I might have sleep
Oh,
apnea too. Who knows? But
yeah.
yeah,
That's good. I don't
please
know if we're
wake
going to
me
cover
up.
that topic, but I'm sure you'll have lots to say about that.
Perfect.
Let's introduce Stephanie Anderson. Stephanie Anderson is with us again, and I don't say introduce, reintroduce. It's been a while, Stephanie, and I think inquiring minds want to know, where have you been?
First off, none of your business. Second, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I am the mystery guest just because it's been a little while since I have been on a podcast, y'all. And it's just because my schedule has been bad. I have been having lots of meetings with our clients. I have been traveling a ton to go visit our clients and do lots of on-site trainings, which has been so rewarding and wonderful. And if you're one of our clients who I've gotten to see in person over the last 3 months, it was a fun time. We had a great time, but that also meant that I was just a little absent from this space for a while. So
She's
yeah,
killing it. That's basically what.
I'm just
She's
out
been
there
killing
crushing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, I just my schedule has not aligned with the podcast schedule recently, so it is lovely to be back with all of you today and to talk
Yeah.
about this topic. I love self-care summer, and it's June and it's time.
Did you just title that Self-Care Summer? Is that what it
I
is?
I don't feel like I came up with that, but if for some reason I am the first person to have said that on the internet, it's now trademark copyright as of this moment, and you can send me $1 every time you use it, and
Yeah.
it'll be great.
Yeah. Self-care summer. So what we're saying is quit your jobs through the summer and do what you want to do. It's all about no, that is not what we're saying. And as business owners or managers might have just been ready to tune off the podcast right now, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying, one of the questions is how do you keep up your energy between vacations? And I think that's an interesting thought. It's almost that school of thought. I'm just working for the weekend, man. I'm just working for the weekend. If you are, remember that old song there too. But how do you keep up your energy between these vacations, between the time I get to rest until the next time that I get to rest? And to me, some of that is man, I've got to be able to find some joy in between those two vacation spots too. Like I got to be able to find joy at the workplace as well. But let's maybe talk about the not necessarily the joy in the workplace part, but let's maybe talk about, if we're talking about recharging on the fly, let's maybe talk about some of those things that we personally would put into that category. And we're going to frame the conversation of talking about the things that we would personally put in the category, but also the importance of why it's of why I need to prioritize those types of things too. So listeners, I would encourage you to maybe bullet point some of the thoughts that you have and see if some of these maybe mimic your thoughts as well. But who would like to start this conversation? And let's answer two questions. Why is it important to recharge? And maybe what ideas do you have of recharging on the fly? Let's just open it up.
I mean, I'll just start with like, why is it important? And I think it's a timely topic too, right? Because we're hitting the summer, school's getting out, and I know a lot of you are finally going to make it to that summer vacation. You've been waiting months and months and months for your break. Which is awesome. So for those of you who are listening and you are about to go on summer vacation, or maybe you just took your vacation, I think this will be relevant for you of like, how do you keep the good feeling going? How do you recharge in other spaces? But I know there are a lot of you listening too who are probably not taking some breaks this summer, not able to take a summer vacation for a multitude of reasons in your life or what's going on in your business right now. And so how do you, like Matt said, recharge on the fly of when you're not able to take a whole week or a couple consecutive days off? How do you prioritize rest and recharge? Because I think, there's a lot of studies out there that show how beneficial it is for us to take breaks. I always think about one of the big moguls in America. He always said he used to take breaks and would go walk through like an orchard over his time. This was Rockefeller. Sorry, I just realized I did not say the name. It was Rockefeller. He used to take a break from all of his like building buildings and building New York City, and would go walk through like an orchard multiple times, like at least once a day, multiple times a week, just to allow his brain time to think about something else. And he said, I often found that when I took that time away, even if it was just a walk that day, that it helped me solve the problems and have answers to things. And there's a lot of research out there that if you want to look into that, that tells us like why it's so important to let your mind take a break and think about other things. So yeah, I think this idea of recharging on the fly to me is super relevant and something that I have to prioritize in my life. Because while I am excited, I am taking a vacation in 2 weeks. I am somebody who needs like those like mental breaks in between. And we've talked about this before on our team. Like I need the moments where I can totally like unplug and let my brain think about other stuff.
Yeah, it seems like the opposite of that Rockefeller is like Elon Musk, where he like sleeps in a tent outside the workspace so he
Yeah,
can always be available.
that's a whole nother topic. Yeah.
And so it's an orchard or a tent. How available do you want to be? But I think that goes to, you just started to kind of piggyback on it just a little bit. I think you started to go there as like you're protecting your own bandwidth. I think to each their own, right? Whenever it comes to this, you said that you just need those moments to be able to just completely unplug. And to be honest with you, like, golly, that's hard for me. It's super hard for
Yeah,
me.
you
And
and
I
I
don't
have talked about this.
necessarily,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard, and I hate that I can't do it, but I kind of enjoyed not doing it. I
Yeah.
love, we're kind of blessed in the business that we work in here with the organization, and some great people that we work with, where they've really kind of co-signed the idea of we need some certain amount of autonomy and flexibility with our schedules as well. And so work, the trust that the work's getting done, but work whenever you work best and how you work best. And we're super supportive in that. I know some organizations or some folks listening to this right now might not have that luxury. Like this is when you work, and maybe they need to be a little bit more creative, or they need to be a little bit, given that if I have X amount of hours, these hours where I have to be turned on, then you just maybe have to be a little bit more diligent to shut it off whenever you don't have to be on. Did I say that? Does that make sense of what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense. And like, yeah, Matt, you and I have talked about that a little bit. I think you pointed out something is this isn't a one size fits all approach. Like you're probably going to even hear all the three of us say really different things of what recharge us. Cause yeah, like I'm knowing for you, Matt, like getting the text messages and the notifications and stuff like that, totally cool with you. Even if you were like off that day, like it doesn't bother you to look at that. Whereas like for
It
me,
energizes me. Like I
yeah,
get excited
yeah.
about it. It's weird.
Yeah. And for me, I don't feel that way. Like for whatever reason, the way my brain is wired, like once it's turned on, it's hard to turn off. And so for me, like I do kind of prioritize, and I'll talk about this more here in a second, of like, I do really prioritize taking time off every year. And I have a kind of a process for how I do that and make sure it stays on the calendar, because I know myself and know that like, yeah, a day here or there, an afternoon here or there is good. But just because of how my brain is wired, I really need like a couple days off in a row to just like, I love all of you and everyone listening, but just to like shut it off.
Shut off Bethany. I got it. Okay, let's go to Bethany.
That's definitely who I was talking about.
Bethany, what about you? What are your thoughts? I know that Stephanie had some thoughts there, and maybe about boundaries around the time off and trying to stick to that, or other ideas that she had, the vacationing thing for the recharging. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so you want to know what like my list would be? Like what would I reach? How would I recharge? Because I have it. Is that where we're going? You ready for it? Okay.
Yeah, and I think Stephanie, you started with why is it important to recharge. I think you probably speak for all of us when we say those types of things. So otherwise, we'd be saying a lot of dittos right now. But we understand the importance of recharging. But what are your tips?
Okay, so here's what I would say. These are things that I think for me are helpful, but like Stephanie said, they might not be the same for everybody. But what I found is I'll just start at the top of my list. So like today, I took a walk after my first meeting. I had a morning meeting, and I happened to be at home, which I'll talk a little bit more about, but I happened to be home. So me and my littlest and my oldest, we went on a walk, and my husband too he was out for a run. And so I had an hour between meetings. And so we went out and we just went for a walk, and we saw the animals down the street, and it was just really nice to be able to kind of like go take that little mental break, even though it was like early in the day, and just kind of like breaks up the day, and lets my mind rest. So anytime I get an opportunity to go for a walk, we do that sometimes in the office too, even when we're all there. If we have an opportunity at lunchtime and we just have some free space and it's a nice day, we've been known to go for walks just downtown in Springfield there. So that's one thing. I also would say, like right now in the summertime, even though, we have specific vacation time planned, I tend to work from home more in the summer. So again, I know that's not necessarily something everybody has access to. But for us, because we have that flexibility, I tend to work from home more in the summer just because, I get to be around my kids a little bit more, which there's pros and cons to that. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to do work, but I also think that it's really worth it most of the time to be able to get to be around them. And so that helps me feel a little bit recharged just because I get to be with my family more. So that, or I would say or just working in a different location. So, if I need, if I want to find some time to just like get out of the office, maybe I'll go just work outside. The other day I was taking a call from my back deck, which was just nice, or going to a coffee shop. And if I don't have to be on lots of calls and I just need to work on some kind of deliverable, I might go do that. Something else on my list I put was like trying to plan days, to work, like trying to plan my days around to like work when I have the most energy. So for me, the example is I like to have slower mornings if I can. I can't always have a slower morning. Sometimes I have to have, morning meetings, and that's fine. But when possible, I love to set up my schedule to be able to say, I'm going to take it a little bit slow. I'm not going to have a meeting till a little bit later, like mid-morning, if I can, so that I can work on other stuff. So I can just sit down with my coffee, so I can read my emails, if I can, whatever, just kind of ease into it, which is helpful for me. And then two more. These are two more, guys. Stay with me.
It's great. You're killing it. That's good.
Okay. So one of my other ones is like scheduling things to look forward to. So for me, that's like, it could just be a day where I plan one day off. I can't plan a whole, vacation necessarily, but if I can plan one day off, just to do nothing, or to do something with my kids and go to the pool, or to work on a home project, because I really like to do that and just use my brain a little bit differently, or to just go get coffee with a friend that I haven't in a long time. So things like that, just to look forward to and say, oh, you know what, it's been a really busy 2 weeks, but I have this one day coming up that I'm really excited for. That I get to just enjoy a little bit differently. And then one of the last ones that I put was setting times to just hang out with our team even, can be really recharging for me. So whether that's us just taking a day where we're like, hey, we're all available, like let's go get lunch together, and we just can walk somewhere and go grab lunch, or we just did our team retreat, which was obviously a little bit bigger of a thing, and we took a few days here and there, but it was fun for us and recharging, I think, to get together as a team and go do some things that we would normally do together. So those are all of my things. I think Stephanie was mentioning it before, but I know for me, when it comes to vacation, I found that like I really need a longer break about every 3 months. So I'm pretty my because that's when I start to get like, okay, I'm so tired and I'm getting grumpy about things. So like every 3 months I need like a week at least where I'm like, I need to go do something else. But that usually works itself out because it's like holidays, then like spring break, then like summer, you can have a vacation, so
Yeah.
it works out well, but that's what I found. So in between that, these are the things I try to do.
This is I love it. Thanks for your list. I like a few things that I would pull from that. It's like sometimes we go for walks, and you either do it at your house or you do it at work. But you know what? Sometimes it's not a walk at work. Sometimes, and I don't work at the office hardly ever, right? I'm working at home. But sometimes you guys go for a walk, or sometimes you make cookies, right? It's not about the health aspect of going for the walk. So
That's a
it's
great
just
point.
about it's just
Yeah.
about the changing of the
Yeah,
scenery, right?
don't hear this as like health fitness gurus.
Right.
Like we eat more cookies than we walk consistently. Yeah.
That's right.
Definitely.
This is one of those, changing directions throughout the day is what it reminded me of, Bethany, as you were talking there. It's one thing to have a vacation and a hard reset. And I think most of the people listening are like, yes, I love vacation, or they're going, wish I could, right? And I mean, I saw a job posting. I would say this is an older philosophy for some of the people listening. Like, you didn't get vacation until you worked there for at least a year. And Bethany's going, I need some significant time once every 3 months, sir or ma'am. And I can imagine what that would look like. I saw a posting the other day for somebody. It was like outdoor work, like gutters, roof, that type of thing. And they're like a week vacation after working there for 12 months. And I thought, wow, they're going to have a hard time finding people these days, right? Because there are more Bethany's out there nowadays than than
Yeah.
what that looked like. But
100%.
this is a shift in philosophy for, we talk about the changing workplace culture and things like that. Maybe these things you're hearing, if you're a manager going, dadgum, like how much time am I supposed to give them? So I want you to hear this. Like, we're talking about vacations. Yes, we should give a good amount of vacation time to the people, but we also have plenty. Bethany, you just gave plenty of tips on how to be able to kind of change the mindset, or reframe what work maybe looks like. And maybe it's I'm sitting in a different location, or this time, or taking a call from this place this time, or looking for those little moments. I'm not taking the day off, but looking for those moments throughout the day to be able to just kind of get outside and go for a walk, or bake a cookie, or whatever that might look like. It's the changing of the reframing of the mind of how I work, and maybe what work looks like. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. Like, for me personally, I'll get into kind of mine. For me personally, yes, I mean, I can't tell you. I'm trying to think of like the last vacation where it's like I'm booking 2 weeks and getting out of here. Nobody call me. I don't know. I can't tell you whatever that's happened in my life, right? I can't tell you that, but I love to go to the boat. I love to go to camping. I don't care. To me, like, if I can go take the family on the boat like at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday afternoon when everybody else is in school, we homeschool ours, right? There's nobody on the lake. Like, this is a great time to be at the lake. Let's go to the campsite. I do try to pick a campsite where I have good signal, because I don't care. I've done a podcast from the camper before. Like, to me, I'm still out. Like, I'm still
Yeah, you
like,
have.
this is cool, right? I'm looking at the lake while I'm doing the pod, and so to me, those are the types of things, just trying to find time to maybe rest, trying to make a concerted effort to do things, something with the family, something specifically. For me, it's like I'm going to, try to do my best to leave my phone in the truck when we go to dinner or something, something like that, just so I can kind of focus on on others. Otherwise, I'm distracted easily, I guess is what I'm saying. But there's lots of different things that you can do to just kind of change your mentality of what potentially work looks like. And this isn't just something that we're saying to the employees, like looking for opportunities. It's almost, maybe we could share our thoughts on this. It's almost like changing the organization's expectations for what potentially looks like too. And we work with lots of different types of organizations. But Stephanie, I know you work with one in particular. Everybody, it's manufacturing, right? Everybody, the line bell rings and everybody goes to break at the same time. The line rings again, everybody's back on. They're like, I wish I could take a walk around the block during my shift, or or whatever. But
Right.
so
Yeah.
they
That
say
is
it's a
not
little
the
strict.
nature
So
of
that
their
might be a little
work.
different, right?
Right. Yeah.
So trying to think of man, reframing the work. This might have some accountability on the leadership or the organization too. I wish that Don and Diana were on the call or on the podcast right now, because they might say like, yeah, that was kind of a hard shift. I've given Diana a lot of flack over the years over that story of she's trying to make sure that I'm making it to work on time in the snowstorm 30 minutes away or whatever. And she's come a long way. Like, we've come a long way in thinking, what does work look like? But why are organizations maybe forced into a situation where they have to think about this too?
Yeah, I mean, I think the example you just shared, Matt, was like spot on of like some of you work at or run businesses where like we work on a shift basis and it's just hard to augment your schedule to give more flexibility sometimes. And so it really is either like you're here and you're completely on or you're off, right? Like it's like it feels like there's a switch there. So I think it's worthwhile as a leader thinking about this, especially if you're noticing a lot of your people are maybe a little grumpy or they're tired or people are telling you they're starting to feel burnt out, of think about what you could do, even if you have that environment where unfortunately like flexibility may not be as much of an option to you, like where Bethany's talking about like, oh, we can all just stop and take a walk, or we can work from home or do some of those things that now I will say a lot of you can offer that and you're not right now. So you might think about that, but I think there are businesses who could do other things. One kind of funny example I saw, and this video went around the internet a little bit last week. It was, I'm imagining New York because it was a big skyscraper and someone was filming across and they saw the construction crew at the building that was doing work across from them. And it was like first thing in the morning and they're all doing like stretches together and it was like synchronized stretching. And they posted because like, this was so funny to like look across and see the whole construction crew, 8 a.m., basically doing some light yoga. But again, that's a perfect example of like, yeah, what if we could just like take 5 or 10 minutes at the start of a shift to like, do something that is like feeds the body or mind in some way? Or what if you offered over lunch, like, hey, yeah, we all break at the same time. And so there are going to be a group of us that are just going to do laps around the building if that's something you're interested in, or we're going to walk to Sonic together. Just thinking about what could you do and offer, even if you're not able to offer like a lot of flexibility in schedules, and also making sure that you've built like a psychologically safe space where people can come to you if they are feeling burnt out. And then that's not like, hey, they have to wait until they are completely burnt to a crisp and then they're coming to you telling you they want to quit, right? Like what if you checked in on people more often and asked them how they're doing, and maybe like made some small accommodations of like, yeah, hey, like what if you just left an hour early on Friday, or yeah, what if you came in an hour later tomorrow, and maybe just doing small things like that for your team.
I was gonna say, I saw that video too. It's funny because I think, like you said, we work with lots of different industries, whether it's manufacturing or construction or things like that. And so watching that video was like, oh, well, that's like a safety thing, right? Like they're doing that. Like it's nice. It looks like, especially if you're not, part of that industry, you're not familiar with it. Like you might think, oh, like that's cute. They're just doing like their stretches over there. But it also has like actual safety component to it. There's benefits for it, which I think, Matt, you were kind of leaning towards too, is that a lot of the times is like if you actually like are prioritizing things like that, whether it's like getting your people outside or like giving them the right breaks that they need, or just kind of helping like encourage time off, because sometimes it's like I know people who are like they have they have set like personal time off, or vacation days or whatever, that people just are like, I don't want to use them because for whatever reason. And so like some of it might just be encouraging your team to like take those days, like go use those. It's not like nobody's mad that you're using those things. That's why we have them. And so like encouraging your people to like take a day off, or if they haven't in a while, if you know that they haven't in a while.
It's not, and I love both of those points too. And Stephanie, you talked about don't wait for your folks to be burned out and have to come to you. And that might be one of your warning signs that, oh man, we need to do something. Another warning sign that a lot of people are experiencing is if you're having a hard time finding people, just get weirdly creative on trying to prioritize these things for them or with them. It takes kind of a special individual to be able to go to the manager's office and say, this is what I need. It takes a special Bethany to say that every 3 months I need time off, right? Like it takes a special person to be able to do that. And sometimes instead of us putting the onus on the employee to be able to initiate that conversation, man, employers get weirdly creative on what ways that you can proactively do that. And I bet you'll see a difference in, the being, the employer of choice thing within your area is probably going to go in the right direction for you as well. So, we talked about vacationing and just really unplugging versus some opportunities that you have to be able to recharge as you're going throughout the day too, getting creative with that as a response to that too. But what other areas or what other angles, this is kind of a light topic today, what other areas or angles do you think we need to address or attack with this? Or do you think we've kind of covered it? Which direction do you want to go?
I'd say like I have a couple ideas to share on some things that I do that maybe Bethany hasn't hit yet. I would imagine, Matt, you have a couple. But a couple of things that I feel like I do that don't even necessarily take extra time that help me recharge on the fly is like one, kind of like getting control over your schedule. So I think I shared this on a podcast early in the year, but one of my words for this year is nope. And like, yes, you did hear that correctly. Nope. And so sometimes it is just like if you're starting to feel crispy or a little overwhelmed and there is not a vacation or something on the horizon for you, or you're looking at the projects that your team is working on and you're not going to be able to take a day off, just kind of get control over your schedule. And what do you need to say no to? What do you need to quit doing? What do you need to delegate to somebody on your team just to give yourself a little more space? I often find that when I'm feeling like overwhelmed or on the edge of burnout, some of the thoughts that start coming into my head is like, oh, I'm working so much more than everyone else. I'm doing more than everyone. And it's not true. It's just I'm starting to feel it. Right. But it's a good trigger for me to look at that and say, am I doing too much? Right. It's not that I'm trying to like keep score and am I doing more work than Bethany or Matt or anybody on our team, but am I doing too much based on my capacity right now? And knowing that my capacity fluctuates. It is not the same all the time because it's dependent on like what type of work we're doing and what type of clients we're working with or what's going on in my personal life that sometimes might make my capacity bigger or smaller. And so it's just sometimes looking at that and saying like, either like I need to raise my hand and ask for help, or I need to say no to something. I need to quit something. I need to just like evaluate what's on my plate. Another one is the sacred lunch break. So this is something that I really clearly abide by. And if you could see all of us on team, Matt is laughing and Bethany is nodding. This is one thing that I stand by. Number one, I am not someone who can miss a meal, and hangry is a real feeling. And you will not like me if I have missed lunch. But two, I've just realized like that is such an easy midday break for me to guard, that like everybody in the world's got to eat lunch. And it's actually very easy to tell people, sorry, I can't meet then, I have lunch. And like everybody really understands that. Like I never get pushback on saying, oh, I'm sorry, that's my lunch time. So I like, it's on my calendar noon every single day. And I can move that time, right? But like I always take a lunch break. And I try not to like work over my lunch. So probably to the dismay of maybe some of my coworkers, because you can see Bethany's desk is right next to mine. I like to talk over lunch. So hopefully Bethany and Philip and Don aren't working on anything too important while I'm taking my lunch. Because
I like it. Well, I started doing that too. We both started doing that because we found that the reason that we started doing that was because we just found that we had gotten into some bad habits of just like working through lunchtime regularly. Yeah. And then we weren't like, then it was always stressful trying to make sure we had time to eat in between meetings. And so anyways, we made it a priority to change that.
Yes. Yeah. So that's one thing. Another one is like decluttering. I love a good organization session, and I will say my physical surroundings tend to mirror my internal feelings. So if my desk and space and everything is really messy, it's probably because I'm feeling a little scrambled inside. And then it's like, it's a horrible vicious cycle, because then seeing the mess makes me more stressed. And so sometimes it's good just to like block the calendar for like an hour and just be like, you're cleaning out the one desk drawer, you're doing this, and you're throwing away all the receipts from 2 years ago that you never even needed to keep in the first place because we turned those in virtually, right? And that's a relic of the past. Or I know like probably about once a year, our team will block off an afternoon for just like an office cleaning day where we go through and we declutter, or we reorganize something, or we move something around that has been annoying all of us, of like, why do we keep the printer paper there? There should be a better spot for it. But of course, when you're like 10 minutes in between a meeting, you're not going to be like, I'm going to reorganize all of our printing supplies. So I think that's a good one. Again, that doesn't require like additional time off or anything special, just something you can do. And then, I do, like Bethany said, a couple that are same for me, of like, moving around, prioritizing slow. Sometimes like maybe I will walk there instead of driving there, ride my bike if that's reasonable to do. Again, this is not, I hate fitness guru stuff. So this is not that. Don't think about that I'm so fit on a bike. Because if you ever see me riding my bike in Springfield, I'm going very slow. But it's like good of like, okay, I could ride my bike to the library instead of driving for 2 minutes, and kind of like prioritizing slowness is really good for me. And then the last one I will say about scheduling vacation, since I mentioned this earlier, probably honestly close to a decade ago, my husband and I, because our work schedules used to be really dramatically different, and he even used to have to work over holidays. And so we couldn't even count on like Christmas and stuff as like time off time together. So we started sitting down like every New Year, instead of New Year's resolutions, we would put on the calendar like when we wanted to take off, and we would put it in pencil so we could move it. But we found that like just planning it out, like let's say we knew, hey, we get 3 weeks off a year, then let's go ahead and like pick the month in which those 3 weeks like are going to happen. Where are we going to take a week? Where are we going to take a week? And we don't have to plan it yet or know what we're doing, but just that we are going to take time off. And so that's something that even as our lives and jobs have changed, we've kept up. And then we keep track of it. I'm a little bit of a type A person, so I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of my time off, and I have like a goal number of days I would like to take. And then once a quarter, I look of like, okay, how many days off did I actually take? It's just healthy accountability for me, because I'm somebody who can tend to like work past taking time off if I don't intentionally do it. So if you want to know what that spreadsheet looks like and you're that type of person, shoot me an email. I'm happy to share it with you. But it just helps me keep track of that and like some accountability to like actually taking the time. Because like I said, I know for my brain, I need that. And I'm with Bethany. I probably need something once a quarter. And it does. I'm very futuristic. I like having something to look forward to, whether that's like, oh, I'm taking off early Friday and I'm meeting a friend for lunch and we're going to sit on a patio and have a drink. Or it's like, I'm going to Europe for a week and sayonara, everybody, don't call me. So whatever that is, I just prioritize that. So that might've been more than you were looking for, Matt, when you asked what else, but there it is.
No, again, to each their own, right? You have a long list there of different things. I think that I like how you talked about riding the bike instead of driving for 2 minutes, not because I want to be healthy, but because I'm like it's a conscious effort to slow down. We have that activity that we do in a session called People Centric Leadership, which is literally just 60 seconds of breathing. It's 60 seconds of breathing. And there's always people in the room that are like, I swear that was longer than 60 seconds. You clearly lost track of time. That had to be 3 or 4. That felt like forever. And then we have other people in the room. They're like, I don't have time. I don't have a second. Like, I don't have a minute to breathe. Right. And then it's always the impact of doing that when you force yourself to just hang on, just sit there and breathe for just a second. And it's that, to me, being in the room when there's that many people that are just taking a minute to breathe. I remember being in Branson doing that at a conference and 200 people in the room and this giant convention center place. And the only thing you could hear was the air conditioning unit going. That many people silent and just breathing and refocus. It's pretty powerful. Like, it gives your mind an opportunity. You don't know what your mind's trying to tell you. You don't know what your brain's trying to think about normally during the day until you kind of take a second and say, let me just listen to me for just a second. What is it that I need to hear that I'm not hearing? Like, and give yourself a minute, and it's pretty powerful. So anyway, Bethany.
I have nothing else to add, but I think these are all really good thoughts. Thanks for throwing it to me, Matt.
Well, Stephanie said I have thoughts, and I'm sure Bethany does too. So, okay. Maybe you said,
Well,
Stephanie, you
Bethany
probably covered all
always
of it.
has good thoughts. That's just like, I
Thank
feel like
you.
an affirming statement. Like she's always got great things to say.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
I love the affirmation. I
Mhm.
think everything is good that's been said.
Yeah.
Matt,
Liz-
I'm
yeah.
curious, like, did you have anything on your list? Because I know, like, just speaking, you and I, we're different personalities. So I'm curious, like you mentioned, like camping or taking a walk or being able to take a break, but like, do you have any like short during the day stuff that you try to do that like decompresses?
One of my favorite things, to do, and again, I work from home, and so I'm only speaking from my own personal experience here, right? So I understand, man, if you were driving to work right now and say, I wish I had a job with the flexibility to be able to work from home. One, maybe you can go find that. Two, I get it. Like I was in that role also. I've been in that seat too, right? Where I've got to go to work. But so I'm pretty blessed now to be able to work from home and kind of build my own schedule with how I want to frame that throughout the day. But I love the idea. One of my favorite places to go is just to my back patio. And if I have like 15 minutes to be able to grab a banana and just go sit on the back patio there, and then I have this app called Merlin, and you can turn it on and it listens to the birds. I love to feed. I've reached the age where I love to feed the birds. And so, I mean, I'll sit out there on the patio and feed the bird and watch the cardinals. I mean, I'm getting pretty good at recognizing the calls that they have now too. But to me, it's just kind of it's an escape and it doesn't have to be long for you all listening going, man, I need to carve out all this time. It doesn't have to be big and it doesn't have to be long. Like that's 10 minutes, something like that you could potentially just, for me, I just go out there and man, it's just a cool mindset shift. Or I'll not only go on a walk, but take the dog on a walk and let the kids go and leave the phone at home and then talk to them about their day again, because they're homeschooled. They're here all the time also. And so instead of thinking about all the different emails that I need to send or the PowerPoints that I have to prepare or, the proposals that I have to have signed or all of that stuff, like, let me just ask, how was your day? And sometimes for me, taking an interest in somebody else's day instead of thinking about the consumption of all the things that I have to do also helps. And through the mouths of babes, like they say, the kids, like sometimes it's silly the things that they're thinking about, but it's also refreshing at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I have a thought now. Here I go.
Hey,
So
welcome
my
back.
other thought was something we haven't said, but you did just sort of pass in passing mention like leave the phone at home. And I think that's one of the things I struggle with the most right now is just like actually like not looking at a screen, which is so crazy. Like it was like I can't remember what I heard it on, but like there was I don't know what it was, but somebody was talking about time and technology and stuff, and they're like, isn't it kind of weird that we just like they're like, I'm gonna take a break from looking at my big screen and I'm gonna look at my small screen. I was like, yeah, that's really dumb. And so,
I've seen
so
that. Yeah.
when you're doing some of these things, just literally instead of taking a walk and looking at your phone, just take a walk. Or when you're sitting on your back porch, just sit there and don't feel like you have to look at a screen. And I'm telling myself that too, because it's hard. We struggle with it now.
I think the little screen is so convenient. I have to like challenge myself to only do one thing at a time. So like if I am watching TV, then either I'm watching this show or I'm not. You know what I mean? Like I get overstimulated. It's probably some low level ADHD, but of like I'm either watching this show or movie or I'm on my phone, and doing both is really bad for my brain. And there's a lot of that again psychologically. Look up milkshake multitasking. If you're interested in the neuroscience behind like switching tasks and doing that so often. But yeah, I'm with you. Like I've tried to do that too. Of like when I go for a walk, maybe in the evenings, is just leave my phone at home. And I know it's scary to do because we're in an age where we all just go, oh my God, but what if? I'm like, okay, again, the walk is not necessarily for fitness purposes. So I am gone about 15 minutes. So it's a little mental health walk. Yeah. And so I'm like, I will be back in 15 minutes and the world is not going to end in 15 minutes. There is nothing really that could happen in 15 minutes that if I can't respond within 15 minutes wouldn't be an appropriate response time. And so, I think it's just also, yeah, Bethany, I'm so glad that you pointed that out of like, we were not created as human beings and bodies to stare at screens as much as we do. So like try to figure out what's healthy for you to do that and like take some time away from looking at your phone or your screen all day, especially if you're someone, I'll speak for myself, like me, I spend most of my day looking at a screen and talking to many of you over Zoom all day long. And so I try to prioritize not looking at screens. So I read a lot and actually read physical books, I know, because it helps me to not look at a screen, do something else.
Nice. Nice. And you might have been, as you were listening here, you might have been thinking of other things. And if you have some of those cool things that you have thought about that you use to recharge your day, man, we'd love to hear that too. Feel free to interact with us. Send those to us through our social media channels. You can hear how to contact us here on the outro. But again, thank you to Stephanie. Thank you to Bethany on this topic of recharging. Find that recharge, not only for you, maybe for your family, the people around you, your peers, your coworkers. Maybe you just need that recharge time. And maybe if it's not there, you could think of it and you could be the leader of that within your own organization too. Work to install something. And finally, to those managers, business owners, department heads, whatever that looks like, you've got to get creative. You've got to be weirdly creative around this stuff too. So even if it wasn't the norm, you've got to start thinking about, man, what do I need to do in order to be able to create an environment where I can speak to that need of recharging on the go as well. And I think you'll see good fruits of that labor as well. So as always, we appreciate you all. Feel free to share the podcast or give us other ideas for topics. And if you see us out and about, feel free to say hello. We love you all. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the People Centric podcast. We are so grateful for you joining us every week. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Also, feel free to share on your social media with everyone that you know. It really does help us. If you would like to contact us, I have put our information in the show notes. Please reach out anytime. We love hearing from you. We will be back next week with a new topic. Until then, be well and lead